When a young couple had their first child, they were amazed by their dog's strange behavior towards the baby. Discovering what their pet was doing left them deeply shaken. Howard and Cheryl had been together for about 10 years when they found out that they were pregnant. They had been trying to conceive for a few years, but Cheryl had been through a tough time. She had long believed that she was unable to have children. Howard loved his wife, and it broke his heart to see her like that, so they decided to get an affectionate dog. When Howard brought the dog home, Cheryl was thrilled. She named the pet Mittens and raised and trained it with a lot of love. A few years went by, and while the couple enjoyed their life with Mittens, they never gave up on their dream of having a baby together. One day, Howard noticed something strange about Mittens. The dog wouldn't leave Cheryl alone and whined at the door even when she just needed to use the restroom quickly. Howard examined the dog closely, but couldn't spot anything unusual. Confused, he went to his wife after dinner. As he approached the couch, Mittens jumped onto Cheryl's lap and growled at Howard. The couple was completely puzzled because Mittens normally loved Howard and was very happy to share the couch with his owner. So, what was the difference that day? Cheryl had a theory, but it was a wild guess. Mittens had become increasingly protective of her, especially when Howard kissed or hugged her. So Cheryl sneaked into the bathroom to test her theory. 20 minutes later, she came crying into the living room and Howard rushed to her. It was only when he hugged her that he saw the positive pregnancy test she held in her hand. Howard joined his wife in tears. Then he showered Mittens with tons of treats because he was so loyal and perceptive. Fortunately, Mittens was also part of the family and remained so even after the end of the pregnancy. After what felt like an eternity, Cheryl finally gave birth to a beautiful and healthy girl whom they named Sky. Cheryl came home to find her husband and best friend Wanda eagerly ready to greet Sky. Wanda was someone Cheryl and Howard could always rely on. They had become friends when they met Howard, and Wanda had been the bridesmaid at their wedding and spent a lot of time with them. She had even helped them find their house. The couple unanimously agreed that Wanda was like an angel in their lives. Although everything seemed to be going well, Mittens didn't appear relieved in the slightest. The dog continued to guard Cheryl and Sky, spending the first night by the baby's side. Desperately begging to stay close to them at all time, Mittens' behavior was strange to Cheryl and Howard. They had thought Mittens would calm down after Sky was born, but instead the dog became even more anxious. Howard and Cheryl allowed the behavior to continue for a few nights because they were exhausted and overwhelmed. Howard began to worry that Mittens was establishing a new routine of guarding at night and refusing to go on walks if Cheryl and the baby weren't present. 2 months after Sky's birth, Howard and Cheryl had both reached their limit with their dog. It was a difficult situation. They loved Mittens dearly and wanted to keep him, but they were increasingly uncomfortable with his unruliness. Sky's safety was their top priority. The couple had so much to consider and little time to talk about things. One evening, Howard arranged a date for Cheryl and Wanda. Wanda was going to come over as a babysitter. It was said that Howard would surprise his wife and take her out to dinner. It was a lovely gesture, and Cheryl gladly took the chance to go out without Sky for the first time. As the time came to leave the house, she was very nervous about leaving her baby, but grateful to have her best friend Wanda there to look after the baby. But even Wanda couldn't calm Mittens. As Howard and Cheryl walked out the door, Mittens barked and howled, and Cheryl was visibly distressed. She almost reconsidered but took a deep breath and left, hoping to show Mittens that being separated for a while wasn't a big deal. They had a wonderful date that evening and could console themselves about Mittens and other things in their lives. Howard was a highly regarded government employee and he enjoyed sharing stories from his job. Cheryl enjoyed hearing anything unrelated to the baby because the past 2 months had been filled with stress. But then something unbelievable happened. While they were having dinner, Wanda called to ask them to come home as Mittens had tried to bite her. When she put him in his crate, he became restless and she didn't know what to do. Howard and Cheryl cut their date short and returned home to help. When they arrived home, Sky was sleeping in her crib and Wanda was watching TV in the room. Wanda apologized to her friend and made sure she was okay before leaving the room. Cheryl focused on calming Mittens down as the dog was behaving very strangely when the front door closed. As soon as Howard opened the door to let the dog out, it immediately calmed down. The couple stood in puzzled silence as they watched their dog happily walk towards Sky's Sky's room. They decided to go to bed and deal with the matter with Wanda later. The next morning, Howard woke up with a clear mind and remembered the security cameras he had installed in his house months ago. He rushed to his computer to see what had really happened between Mittens and wondered if it might give him a clue as to what had triggered the poor dog. But Howard was shocked to see that the footage from the previous night had been deleted. Perplexed, he searched through his archives and discovered that a significant amount of information was missing. A shiver ran down Howard's spine as he recognized the pattern in the deleted files. The only footage missing was from Sky's room, which had been deleted almost every night since her birth. So Howard installed a new hidden camera and kept it separated from the usual system. Howard immediately rushed to show Cheryl the video. She began to cry and called the police. The couple couldn't believe what they had seen on the footage from the hidden camera. The police arrived on the scene and confirmed that indeed someone had been breaking into their house at night, climbing through the window into Sky's room. Howard and Cheryl were horrified to discover that the person sneaking into the baby's room was someone they knew well, a woman named Wanda, a foreign intelligence agent who had been spying on Howard. Wanda had started as a friend of the couple nearly a decade ago and had arranged a house for them with a small secret room. Additionally, they discovered a safe containing money and passports. The police are still searching for Wanda, but to this day they have not found her. The parents were horrified at the thought of leaving the helpless baby in the hands of a woman who had only pretended to care for them. Wanda probably never intended to harm Sky, but the lies she had told them were enough to fear and despise her. Mittens noticeably calmed down on the day Wanda disappeared. Howard and Cheryl treated Mittens like a hero for the rest of her life, grateful for her protective behavior towards the little girl. What an incredible story.